Dear friends, today's readings are about hospitality, about family, parents, and children. I am reminded of a modern family of a mother, father, and their son. One day, their son was sitting with his mom in the kitchen, and he asked her, "Who made us? How did we all came to be?" His mother said, "God created the world. He made Adam and Eve, and then we all came from our first parents. And we are the descendants of Adam and Eve." After a few days, their son was hanging out with his dad, and he was amazed by the beauty of the nature, the mountains, the rivers, and everything around him. So he asked his dad, "How did this universe come into existence?" And the dad was a scientist. He was interested in technology, evolution, and the rest. So his dad said there was a big bang before millions and millions of years ago, and then everything started from a single cell. And then we have complex organisms, and then living beings, and more complex things. And finally, we have monkeys. And monkeys are ancestors. We came from monkeys. And so the boy was confused. He went back to his mom next day and said, "Mom, you told me that we came from Adam and Eve. We are created by God. But Dad says that we are coming from monkeys. They are our ancestors. Which is it?" So Mom said, "Look, my dear son, I just told you about my side of the family." Dear friends, we come from all different kinds of families. Today's gospel passage concludes Jesus' missionary discourse, in which Jesus tells his 12 disciples the cost and the reward of being a disciple. The first half of the gospel reading details how the disciples should behave in their missionary journey, and the rest of the gospel reading details how others should behave towards these disciples. Jesus also assures his disciples that whoever shows them hospitality will be rewarded. Those who receive Jesus receive the one who sent him. So too, those who receive his little ones, the messengers, will be greatly rewarded. Jesus himself shows hospitality to the people. He ate with sinners and outcasts during his public ministry all the time. He received the little kids gladly, and he taught us to invite the poor and the strangers even to our wedding parties. He prepared breakfast for his disciples, including Judas, who betrayed him. Before his departure to heaven, when he ascended, Jesus said he was going to prepare a place for his people. Jesus also instituted the Lord's Supper, the Eucharistic meal we all share that will lead us to the eternal reward. Jesus then gives a very important and essential condition for anyone to be his disciple. He tells them, "Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me." These words might sound a bit extreme because family comes first for most of us. What Jesus here means is that we must give first place to God. And if we love family or friends more than God, then we are not worthy of Him. In short, we must serve God above everything else. If members of your family is acting unfairly or unjustly, then you must decide to separate yourself from that family. Not physically, but spiritually, probably. Clearly, Jesus is not attacking family life. He is giving us and his disciples a warning that they would experience and even rejection by their family when they try to live out the gospel message. These above words of Jesus can also have another meaning. All those who become followers of Christ belong to a new family. It is a family where everyone, your relatives, friends, and even strangers, become brothers and sisters to one another. We become part of a larger family to whom we also have duties, responsibilities as Christians. Again, Jesus is not speaking against the family, but rather reminding us that we are a part of a larger family of being a fellow Christian, being companions to each other in our journey of faith. Finally, Jesus states a very important requisite for anyone to be his disciple. He tells, whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Perhaps we should consider these words of the Lord as a challenge in our life, as we know that faithful discipleship comes with a lot of demands. Unlike any religious leaders or founders of this world, Jesus gives us a very strange demand. He tells us we must lose one's life for his sake. Losing one's life in order to follow him may seem almost impossible or unrealistic. But by losing one's life, Jesus means one's willingness to accept sacrifice, accept sufferings for the sake of our faith in Christ. Jesus raises some serious questions for each one of us to reflect. Why is that some people can take up their cross and accept sufferings and follow Jesus while others cannot? Why is that some people can come away after a tragedy as better people while others cannot, or they become bitter in their life? Why is it that for some people tragedy turns out to be a stepping stone for their personal growth to come closer to the Lord, while for others it is a stumbling block? One of the great psychotherapists of our time is Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was an Australian doctor. He addresses these questions in his best-selling book called Man's Search for Meaning. I repeat, Man's Search for Meaning. Frankl was a prisoner of Nazis during World War II and experienced personally the brutal conditions in the concentration camps. And that turned some people into inhuman beings while others into saints. We have many examples of that. Victor says the deciding factor between these groups was faith. Faith gave them ultimate meaning in their life. For us, it is the same kind of faith in Jesus that brings us new life and meaning to our lives. I would like to close with a very brief quote from Viktor Frankl, what he said in his book. Our life is never made unbearable by our circumstances, but by lack of meaning and purpose in life.